Dr. Shaw is a professor from UBC's Department of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences. In 2022, he ran for a seat on North Cowichan Council and has been very active in the local freedom movement ever since. Please help me welcome Dr. Shaw.
So I thought I'd open by showing my new favorite ball cap. I got it at a little event we had up in the Cowichan about a month ago, and it shows a very battered Canadian flag with a lot of bullet holes in it, which feels pretty appropriate for the last three years. And it says the resistance. So if anyone doubts that, I'm obviously one of those people. I'll put it right there just so I can remind myself. Every time I wear that, I'm waiting for someone to come to me and say, that's a Nazi symbol, isn't it? Well, no, actually, maybe you want to call up folks who live in Holland and see what they feel about that flag. Because that was the flag, well, the successor to the flag that liberated the Netherlands. So the Dutch are very, very, very supportive of what the Canadians did in World War II and still are. So as a way of introduction, very briefly, I am, as the moderator said, I am a UBC professor, although I'm on unpaid leave because I wouldn't take the shots, now there are 3. I wouldn't take the shots, and therefore that was more important to suspend me than let me keep doing my job trying to find an early phase detector for Lou Gehrig's disease, which as some of you may know is one of the worst diseases in neurological disease history. And of course, you don't want to do that if you're unvaccinated. And it was about the same time I got kicked out of Marine Search and Rescue in Oak Bay, about a couple miles down that way, because clearly if you're on a burning boat and you have a bunch of kittens and innocent bystanders, you don't want anyone unvaccinated to come save you. So it was good that I got removed from that because those two things clearly are not kosher. What we do in the Cowichan Valley, and I'll come to the purpose of this is talking about elections. In the Cowichan Valley, we've done something. Someone mentioned that we need to do more things that draw people together. And what we do in Cowichan, I see some people from up there. We have a potluck every Saturday night, and it was started by a local family. And when you first go to it, you're amazed. You look and you go, "Oh my God, they're people. They're talking to each other. Some of them are hugging. Oh, good Lord, they're eating together. What's this mean?" And then it's, oh, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Okay. And then you have new people who are converted to come every week. And we do a lot of people. It's in a converted barn. You're all welcome to come up there some Saturday night. So some of us, one of my electoral colleagues here, we ran for various positions in the Cowichan Valley in October. And what were the reasons for that? What did we do? We ran because we were tired of the restrictions, the lockdowns, the loss of freedom, the blatant violations of human rights and the rights of people throughout the country, but also in Cowichan Valley during the lockdowns and the restrictions. And so we decided we wanted to do something about it. But it wasn't only about that, because what we also discovered was that politics in the Cowichan Valley are actually fairly dirty. And I suspect that it's true across many places of the country. There is a lot of corruption up there. There's a lot of the old boy and old girl network up there. Yeah, see, there's political correctness, thank you. A lot of that kind of stuff where a lot of people seem to get jobs with the administration because they're relatives. Interesting. So anyway, so there were various reasons to do that, and those were 2 of the really salient reasons. But the other one is because of our children. I'm a dad. I've got 5 kids actually, but I have 3 little ones. And I don't want them growing up in a fascist dictatorship that we're heading for. I want them to grow up as free human beings. I want my grandchildren someday to grow up as free human beings, and I want 7 generations on free human beings in this country. And we're not going to get it if we keep doing the same things we do. So that's why I ran for politics. I've run before. I've run for city council in Vancouver twice, once federally, and then in Cowichan in last October. I ran with some amazing people. Serena Freedom Bear is right here. She ran for school board. Maybe some others. Joyce Benson, they also ran for council as well. And we did actually remarkably well, but there are some caveats to that. So anyway, so there are two reasons. One, you run because you have an obligation to your children. That goes without saying, or it should go without saying. The second one, because we're in a church and because I'm going to delve into some of my religious background, I'm going to give you a quote from Deuteronomy 16:20. Justice, justice, thou shalt pursue. That's what it's about. We must have justice in this country, we must have justice across this country, and we must protect our children. Those are the two salient reasons for doing this. That's really what it comes down to. So what happened? We didn't win. Okay, that's okay. But we learned a lot. We learned a lot in terms of where were the electoral lessons? Well, I feel I found my tribe. I feel I found my family up there. I met a lot of great people, but people I think are closer to me than many of my real family elsewhere who may be on their fourth or fifth shot. There was huge amount of energy. And also, by the way, and when I say family, these were people who have my back and always will, unlike some of my relatives who said, oh, you're just one of those, white supremacist Nazi types, we should just lock you up. Those are family. So I found my family in Cowichan Valley and across the country during that. So great people, lots of energy, and open discussions. We could open discussions that the other side did not want to talk about. We could talk about what was called the official community plan. Boy, there was absolute crickets until we started talking about it. We could talk about SOGI. We could talk about the 15-minute cities. All those things that the other parties didn't want to touch with a stick, we brought all those things out. So even though we didn't win, we did get those subjects into discussion, and the more they attacked us, the more people heard about it, which in some sense was good. So, and again, Serena is a veteran of this. And I want to read you a quote from John Corey. I don't know if John's here today, but John wrote me something. We've been discussing local and other politics. But John Corey, he ran for mayor, said, quote, in all elections in recent past and looking ahead, the party that is criticized and demonized the most will be the party that hovers over the target aimed at the enemy of the population. And that's precisely what we did. We drew a lot of flack, but then we got a lot of attention, and people heard about what we were talking about, and they began to say, what is this SOGI stuff? What is the OCP? What are 15-minute cities anyway? None of those things the other guys wanted to talk about. What were the negatives? What were the things that maybe didn't work quite as well as we had hoped? One is we had no polling. We really did not know where we were. And so we were relying on the potluck dinner club, and the people came and patted our backs and shook our hands and passed us a couple bucks. And it became an echo chamber. We basically did not know what else was going on in the valley. And that was a big flaw. We didn't have the machinery. And that's why if you're going to do local politics or any level of politics, you've got to start building these things now. You cannot wait to 6 months before. We thought we had bags of time. We didn't. So we didn't have the deep structure also. So for example, when we went to sign up with the electoral commission in the city or the district, basically we were given an election book. It had all the voters in the district. But if you don't have the people who can call them up, it's just a piece of paper. It's just weighing down your desk. So we didn't have that. The NDP did. Okay. We didn't have the dollars. The NDP did. We didn't know how deeply embedded the NDP is in that valley. And in other places it'll be the Liberals, other places it can be whatever. We didn't know how deeply embedded the NDP was in the valley, so that you have two councillors and a mayor now who elected who are deeply tied to the NDP. And I'm sure they had all the resources of the NDP in their back pocket. We know they did. And therefore, you have people elected who can barely frame a coherent sentence, and yet they're now sitting as councillors. So there's something really wrong with that system. And that comes back to the idea that maybe that the system is more corrupt than we think. I think we all know the political system in this country is corrupt. But what about the medical system? Corrupt. What about the judiciary? Corrupt. Certainly the government is corrupt. Even science has taken a bad rap, and I speak as a scientist, from all the crap that's come down from scientists who should know better. What do we trust in government anymore? And I think what we trust in government has to be close to zero unless we can become government and reform the system. And that's a huge task. That's why I focus on the local level. I think that if you're going to do it, that's where you're going to do it. I think jumping in, and I know there are people in the room who will disagree, I think jumping into provincial politics and federal politics is noble, but I think unless you have the organization, I think you're fighting a pretty much a hopeless battle. And I think locally is where you can take control. If you take control locally, then you have a springboard to other levels. If you try and do it the other way, I think you're going to be spending a lot of time to no particular benefit. So that's what I would like to see happen. I would like to see a lot more local stuff being done. I think we can contest not only the councils and the school boards and the area directors and things like that, and we should do it more and we should do it harder. One of the things that really worked was, you guys have been to all candidates' debates, and I think you know that all candidates' debates really don't change people's minds. People from whatever grouping send their people to cheer for their people and boo at the others. And so we saw that. But what we did, that we turned around, the attempt they made was at one point in the all-candidates meeting in Maple Bay, they tried to get us, trying to do the gotcha. Who believes the WEF and the WHO had a role in the official community plan? So 4 of us stood up, because it's obvious that it's true. And then at least the moderator of that particular meeting had at least the honesty to say, all right, those 4 people, stand up and tell us why. And we did. So we had one of our members, one of the people who ran with me in the United Independence, which Adriana Richards, and Joe Enslow, both of them basically were quoting right from the official community plan. Oh yes, on page 23, it says UN. On page whatever, it says WEF. You guys don't even know your own document. Good Lord. So how can you not oppose that and use that? And we were getting accused, I was accused of being a white supremacist because I went to a freedom rally. Oh, actually, I didn't go to that rally because I was campaigning, but I was accused of being white supremacist because I was going to go to a freedom rally. Okay, so that's the kind of thing we were facing. But at least it changed the dynamics of the campaign, because we weren't running from it. We weren't hiding from anything. We said what we believed. We were not offensive. People say, well, they're a bunch of racists. Really? Serena, what's your background? Native and Palestinian. My background, I'm Jewish. Another person is black. Another person is married to a Haida woman. Really? Where's the bigotry in that? None. So it was just name calling. And that's all they can do, all they can do. They couldn't debate Serena on Sochi, they couldn't debate me on the WEF or any of our other United Independence candidates. All they can do is call names. When they're calling you names and all they're doing is attacking you, you know you're on target because you're getting flack. That's all it is. What is... Let me do it. All right. Before I get the caller to pull me off stage, what's the future hold? Okay, you could continue to contest electoral systems. I think the success is going to be locally. That's prove me wrong. Honestly, prove me wrong. The other alternative to that is, if you don't take control of your communities, you have only a couple choices. One of them is you can surrender and let whatever happens to you and your kids. You can build a parallel society, and that's something that's ongoing discussions in Cowichan, I think a lot of places. Look, if we can't live with the people who want to, do what Klaus Schwab wants, maybe we just need to separate. We need to go our own way. And the third thing, of course, is revolution, and I think none of us want to see that, but you remember John F. Kennedy once famously said, if you make peaceful revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. And I think that's where we're standing, where it's either we're going parallel or we're gonna find a way to make electoral breakthroughs so we can actually start taking back our regions, our country, and our provinces, and and the whole country itself, or we can just let it go. And I'm not prepared to do that. I have 3 little children and 2 big ones, and every time I see my little ones in the morning, I have to be able to look them in the eyes and say, you never will be able to say that Daddy didn't do anything. When they say, Daddy, what did you do during the Great Reset? What did you do to preserve human freedom? I don't want to be saying, well, I was watching Netflix and I was a little bit busy, and there was something on, there was a hockey game I had to go to, so just forget it. So I'm not going to say that to my kids, because this is why I fight. This is why I fight. And then again, I fight because it is paramount for us as human beings and for people who care about our fellow human beings and care about our rights and our freedoms, and those of us who care about a creator, justice, justice, thou shalt pursue. That has to be our mantra. Thank you very much.